Good morning. So the really cool thing is that we're doing something we've literally never done before today, which is that all four UU churches in the St. Louis metro area are having worship at the same time in their own spaces, but leading different parts through the use of technology. Yeah, so because we're experimenting, the technology is still working itself out. Once we get all of the streams into the same place, we'll get started, which will hopefully be momentarily.
Good morning. I am the lead minister of Elliott Chapel, and along with Reverend Dr. Claudia Hall from Metro East Unitarian Universalist Congregation, and Reverend Kim Mason of the First Unitarian Church of St. Louis, and everyone from Elliott, because Elliott doesn't have a minister, we welcome you all to our first ever St. Louis area Unitarian Universalist multicast service. That the four Unitarian Universalist congregations would all meet in their own sanctuary and we would worship together. But as some of you saw on the news, tragedy has struck Emerson Unitarian Universalist Chapel. A truck drove through the wall of their sanctuary in their congregation, so they don't have a home right now. So members of Emerson, if you're watching online, welcome. Some of you have each other. So when I call the name of your congregation, I want you to face the camera in your sanctuary as you're able and say hello loudly and wave.
Jesus
the Metro
the
East Unitarian Universalist Congregation in Glen Carbon.
So while the tech folks are doing their wonderful and amazing tech stuff, I'm going to let you know what Reverend Krista over at Elliott would have been saying. So what she's
The First Unitarian Church of St. Louis.
Today, and I do mean that literally.
We're going to have to trust that you all are clapping because we can't see you. Elliott Unitarian Chapel in Kirkwood. And everyone who is from Emerson Chapel in whatever congregations you are at.
Gift of our own gratitude and thanksgiving
Welcome.
For them being here today.
Now, if you're visiting us either in person or online, a special welcome to you. If you had planned to visit all our congregations, you have now killed 4 birds with 1 stone. But truly, we welcome you to an experience of our Unitarian Universalist faith. We are a liberal religious tradition where you can believe in God all of the time, some of the time, or none of the time. This living tradition accepts you in the fullness of who you are. Your race, ethnicity, class, gender identity, sexual orientation, ability, family structure, and religious and spiritual background. Our first ever St. Louis area Unitarian Universalist multicast service. And through and with us. Now, each of our congregations have different ways for you to let us know that you're here. Now, our original plan, a guest form on your way in, or if you'd rather check in digitally, I'd invite you to go to the front page of our website, where many of us have a digital guest form or an email address that we can use to stay in touch. Now, let us prepare ourselves to enter into the spirit of worship.
Okay, keep going.
Reverend Kim will be offering our original plan was that the 4 Unitarian Universalist congregations would all meet in their own sanctuaries and we would worship together. But as some of you saw on the news, tragedy has struck Emerson Unitarian Universalist Chapel. A truck drove through the wall of their sanctuary in their congregation, so they don't have a home right now. So members of Emerson, if you're watching online, welcome. Some of you have landed in our other congregations, welcome. You are most welcome in all of our sacred spaces, and our hearts and spirits are with you at this very difficult time. We're glad that you are with us today. So here we are on this beautiful spring morning, worshiping together, connected digitally by all of our techies. So let's give them a round of applause. They're the ones who are making this happen. And we're going to say good morning to each other. So when I call the name of your congregation, East. Good morning. I'm Reverend Claudia Hall. Are clapping because we can't see the Metro East. Chalice to inspire all those who are searching and yearning on this day. Now, if you're visiting us either in person or online, find a special welcome to you. In this service, if you had plans to visit all our congregations, you have now killed 4 birds with 1 stone. May those who have light share it. Value is love, an infinite love which moves in and through and with us. Now, each of our congregations have different ways for you to let us know that you're here. Some of you received a guest form on your way in, or if you'd rather check in digitally, I'd invite you to go to the front pages of our websites where many of us have a digital guest form or an email address that we can use to stay in touch. Now let us prepare ourselves to enter into the spirit of worship. Reverend Kim will be offering us. In our 4 churches right now. Our live feed is not working, so they're getting ours like way late with a huge delay. So we're just going to watch First Unitarian St. Louis And the other colleagues are going to read my parts that I was going to do for the service. And David, I think we're going to have to just
Actually, I say that
see
I've
if
never yelled at
their
anybody for texting in
their
church or
organist
for falling
can,
asleep in church.
you know,
As
do
a
what we
minister
thought
of
you might have to
narcolepsy,
do
it's a thing
today,
I really shouldn't yell
which
at
is like filling up the last minute.
anybody.
So we're going
today,
to try
I
and
think the plan at
get
the
their
moment
stream
is
and
that
just
we're just
worship
gonna go ahead
through
with
theirs.
whoever,
And I
is
get
on
to sit
Zoom
and watch the service with you.
tag out.
Let's see if we can do that.
Yep. Go ahead and read the kid's story. We just sang. Oh, is Lauren here?
Hi.
The children's RE person over at Emerson Chapel. Welcome.
Yeah.
And we're so glad to have you here for our children's time this morning.
All right. Thank you. All right. So normally I would have a group of children with me, but I am at home today. So I'm just going to show you the book that I was going to read. And children, if you want to come up to the front of your chapel, you can. If you just want to sit next to an adult that you like and talk to them, that is fine too. All right, so we are going to be talking about interdependence today. And the book we're going to read is called We Are Better Together. So, one of the things we think about is, how are we better together? And the book says the human game is a team sport. So team sport doesn't mean we like run around, we have points and things like that. It means we all work together. So think about who are the people that you work together with. When we work together, we can do incredible things. We can harness the power of the sun. So if you look at here in this picture, ooh, what are they doing? Oh, they've got solar powers. And it's not just one person that does it, it's lots of people that have to help and do it together. We can reforest the land. We can help lost sea turtles find their way to the ocean. Now, looking at this, some of you may have planted trees for service projects or things like that, but we don't live near the ocean. We can't do all of this on our own. Everybody has to help, and that's how we're interdependent, and that's how we have to work together. We can explore the farthest reaches of space, and looking back, we can see how we are changing our planet. It is a beautiful, fragile place, worthy of protection. And fragile means like, it can be hurt really easily, so we should take care of it. We can accept with grace that each of us has a moment and a place, that our humanness is important. We have the tools to allow us to stand up to the powerful and the reckless. We know the value of love. So, what do we use to come together? We use love, and that's how we come together. It is work. It is love that works to feed the hungry. It's love that comes together in defense of sea turtles and sea ice and all else around us that is good. It is love that each of us see that we're not the most important thing on earth, and that makes us okay with that. It's love that welcomes us imperfect into the world. Uh-oh, he's drawn on the wall. He might get in trouble, but that doesn't mean that he's not loved. And we don't have to be perfect to work together, and we don't have to be perfect to try to change things for the better. We live on an unbearably beautiful planet, a planet that needs us humans to play together, to cooperate. We're capable of acting together to do remarkable things. So, we best get started soon. So, little people, little you-ers out there, one of the things you want to think about is you can get started on this right away. You can recycle. There are all kinds of things that we can do when we start working together to make the world and those around us have a better place. Thank you.
Lauren, am I on? Fantastic.
Yes.
All right, so
When we
while the
sing our
children
children
were
into
having
their
that
religious education.
amazing and inspirational story, the rest of us were trying to figure out what's going on, and we've definitely had some tech stuff happen.
This little light of
because today,
mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of
they
mine,
are singing their kids out.
I'm gonna let it shine.
Let it shine,
Let it shine, let it shine.
let it shine.
Be where I go, I'm going.
I know. I think they're ahead of us. hear them. So we do apologize for that. Is Reverend Kim, can you guys hear us at first? All right. You want to try spotlighting me and we'll see how it's going? All right. Every one of our congregations has a special way to express the joys and sorrows among us. At Metro East, we drop stones into a bowl of water in silent procession. At Emerson, they place the stones and sand around the chalice and share joys and concerns with the congregation. At First Unitarian, they speak from the pulpit. At Elliott, they have a moment of silence and a time to speak and name whoever they would hold in prayer. At this time, we will start with a shared prayer offered by Reverend Kim, and then each congregation will do what works best for them. For those that are at home this day, we invite you to pray or meditate and hold a stone or candle, whatever helps you into a meditative place. Reverend Kim, we invite you now to do our pastoral prayer.
With many joys and concerns remaining in our hearts and minds, we enter into a spirit of prayer and mindful attention. This morning's prayer includes a spoken response. Each time the prompt is, we pause, saying together, and the response is, be still and listen. Spirit of life and love, holy within and among us, our hearts are full of grief, full of hope, full of worry, full of care, full of trauma, full of love, full of all we cannot control and wondering, what can I do? So we pause, saying together, be still and listen. Spirit of life and love, great mystery. The world clamors for our attention. Rush, run, acquire, compete, do. Inundated with messages of worth based on models of consumption, there is only one thing we really must do. We pause, saying together, be still and listen. Spirit of life and love, source of peace. Machines of terror and destruction, domination and exploitation ravage the earth and her people. We weep, witnessing starvation, pollution, extinction, and war. Preparing to act, we pause, saying together, be still and listen. Spirit of life and love, wonder of the universe. We know there is a song. It begins in the night, swelling with the light of dawn and calling us forth in hope and compassion, love and connection. We pause and listen, letting it change us. Then we share it, that all the world might sing together in a great network of mutuality. That together we might create peace. May it be so. Amen, and blessed be. Let us now take the time to offer love and care in the unique ways that each of our congregation does together. This morning, Here at First Unitarian, I'll share the major pastoral announcements of our community. If you have shared in the Google form, those will be read next Sunday. Here in our community, we send Deborah Kavanaugh Grant well wishes for a speedy recovery after surgery. We offer prayers of healing for Mike Nolan, who is in the hospital. And we send our love and care to the members of Emerson UU Chapel in St. Charles, whose building was damaged yesterday afternoon when a truck crashed through the side of the building and landed in their sanctuary. Some of those folks are here today. We welcome you, and some of them are watching online. We will pause in a moment of reflection and meditation as the other congregations finish their practices.
We now come to the part of our service where we return the gifts that have been given to us, to the community in love. I want to highlight the various charities that will be served by our offering today. If you are a first-time guest at any of our services, please do not feel obligated to give this morning, for this service is our gift to you. Our theme is interdependence, but it is not just a buzzword for us. It is something that we live as one of our core Unitarian Universalist values. If you mark your offering as pledge, it will go to your church, but if it is loose cash, then it will go to a partner organization based on which church you attend. For Elliot, the partner is Earth Dance Farms, who does community gardening in North County that provides fresh produce in a food desert. For Metro East, our partner today is Emerson Chapel, and the gift will be given to help them with the work of rebuilding. For First Unitarian St. Louis, the partner is Martha's Hall, who provides services for survivors of domestic violence. For Emerson, the partner for April is their International Institute, which helps the region's immigrant services and information hubs. It is with the knowledge that we are supporting both ourselves and all these other organizations that today's offering will be most graciously received. The music for our offertory was originally to be provided by Elliot's pianist, David Nadalsik, but I do believe it is going to be done this morning by First's musician. Thank you. Louis metro area UU worship service. Many times people have asked why we needed such a thing, and in fact, it is encoded in the history of our congregations that we have preferred to stay separated and in the silos of our church walls, far apart from each other and often even from our denominations. Sometimes this history came from church leadership, sometimes this has come from congregants, but at all times it has stemmed from fear. Fear that members would leave and go to another church, fear that we would lose our place as the big church, as the bellwether in the area, or as the church on the hill. Many things have changed in the last few years, in the last few hours. And as the pandemic created intense and incredible isolation, while also making it abundantly clear just how deeply and desperately we needed one another to survive. In the last 4 years, we have watched with increasing emotion as the fabric of our democracy has unraveled, threads of togetherness torn apart by an increasingly clamorous push toward hostile independence. From the attacks on our own Capitol Hill to the unending attacks on all bodies that can bear children, our politics is full of a sneering hostility and the mouthing of this sort of America First rhetoric that conveniently forgets the ways that Black, brown, and indigenous bodies have always borne an unfair burden so that others, much of which were male and white, could be free. The rhetoric of immigration places an us versus them without ever stopping to think that with very few exceptions, we all were once them. For Europeans and Christianity are not native to America. We stand and sit today in our congregations on land stolen from First Nations peoples, the Osage, the Kickapoo, and more. For others of us, our ancestors were not native. They did not choose to come here. They came, never fitting into the us versus them, either as enslaved persons, as indentured servants, or in some way or another forced into this place. They came into a rhetoric that was all about people in power over people like them. Like so many, I've watched with dread the rising anxiety as I've realized that the 2024 election was going to be a repeat of 2020. And not a day has gone by that I've not been afraid of the potential for America to become a dictatorship run by autocrats instead of law and order. Now, these fears are nothing new. And for any of us in this building or in any of our buildings this morning who do not fit the white, middle-class, cis-het model, and especially for those of us who live in Missouri, where our rights are being stripped away by the handful, these fears can be overwhelming. As my phone decides to bleep at me. It is just a flood of fear, an absolute flood of not knowing where we can turn, who we can trust, of wondering moment by moment if your job, your house, your children, and even your own body is at risk because people are choosing hate over love. It is in this flood of fear and this exhaustion of trying to keep our heads above water, in the midst of the existential angst of our country, the practical stress of inflation and politics, that the four churches have come together, deciding that now the time is right for a change. Reverend Krista writes, "I really appreciate the image of the three sisters. The corn provides a trellis for the beans, while the squash shades the ground, keeping in moisture and keeping out other plants. It is so different from what she grew up with on her family farm. We planted corn in those telltale straight rows that went on as far as the eye can see. I love the sound of the wind rustling through a cornfield, and we often played hide and seek when the corn became taller than we were. Little did I know as a young girl the harm that this way of farming was doing and still is doing. We're used to straight lines. This is mine, that is yours. I belong here, you belong there. You own this, I own that. In modern Western culture, the reality and power of our interdependence is just as true now as it was when indigenous people lived freely on this land. But it's much harder now to internalize that everything is in fact connected, and we are all connected to each other, and we can't do it alone. Our highly individualist culture sets us up for failure. That's what we're seeing right now. And it's the basis for the flood of exhaustion and fear that so many of us are experiencing. This is the harm that results from a straight line system. And now I turn to Reverend Kim to teach us what we can do about all that. Yeah, first.
Krista continues. Part of what makes Unitarian Universalism so well suited to this time is that we have become a faith where we help each other remember the interdependence. This interdependence. We practice it, we learn it, we feel it deep in our bones. We commit to bring this truth into even the smallest of decisions. We reassure each other that we are together, and we plant the seeds of this awareness in our children so that they aren't playing catch up like so many of us are. It's hard sometimes to undo how we have been trained to see others, to see ourselves, to see this world. Sometimes we fail spectacularly. Not this morning. Not this morning. In our covenantal faith, we call ourselves in to learn about our failures, to accept accountability for the harm that results, and to make amends and help each other through it all. And then ultimately, to try again. What choice do we have? Just like the three sisters beginning their annual interdependent journey in the spring, we also return to the spring of our souls, yearning for connection and wholeness. Krista continues, it wasn't always like this in Unitarian Universalism. We were as linear as they come. But our faith is evolving to meet this moment. That's why we are transforming our principles and sources into our values and covenants. We need this transition to survive and thrive in this anxious time. We have come to understand ourselves as interconnected, promise-making, promise-breaking people. And our core values, justice, equity, generosity, transformation, pluralism, interdependence, and above all, love, they are like the three sisters. We stretch toward the sky like the corn. We wrap ourselves around each other like the beans, and we protect and nourish the ground of our faith, love, that creates all of life. And in the fall, what we wait for all year, we bring fruits of our interconnectedness, sweet yellow corn, crisp green beans, and gently flavored fall-colored squash. What might this look like for our four congregations in this place and in this time together? Friends, we live in a time dominated by stories. Stories have a unique ability to hook into the patterns and pathways in our brain. either reinforcing what we already think or so radically altering our thought patterns that what we understand is radically changed. Claudia describes some of the narratives in our nation right now, and Krista offered us a different narrative, an alternative story, if you will. In a world controlled by story, the way you counter a narrative of authoritarianism and isolation is not by offering a factual rebuttal, but by offering a different story, a new and compelling narrative. In our case, that story is one of collaboration and connection. Recently, I noticed a rise in a particular type of story. It was stories about World War II. It seems to be popping up in TV shows and movies and books again and again, and I've wondered if we aren't trying to make sense of our own time. World War II was a period of great global upheaval, with serious economic disparities, rising authoritarian regimes, and changing education and economic models, all of which resulted in a fight for democracy and a vision of humanity that included all people. The story of World War II is also one of collective action, of people at home being willing to sacrifice, of nations being willing to collaborate. One of the dominant stories of World War II is of people unable to turn away from genocide, who risked saving lives. There was a feeling of interdependence, where folks were in the struggle together. This is a powerful narrative for us in this time now, in this period of fracture and disconnection. As Unitarian Universalists, we too offer a powerful narrative, an antidote, if you will, to the story of loss and isolation. It is that interdependence makes us stronger. The Three Sisters Garden, not one of just abundant production, but also of future flourishing, as the plants work in combination to nurture the soil and keep it fertile for later planting. When we work together, we prepare the ground for our future growth. We have this vision of our congregations as existing from each other, and yet our histories belie that narrative. Each of our congregations was founded in some way in connection to one another, and today is proof of our interdependence. As Emerson Chapel recovers from the destruction of its sanctuary, each of the area congregations offers sanctuary to. Because we have already planned this collaborative service, the service continues. Working together makes us stronger, able to survive the knocks and bumps of life. Emerson Chapel will rebuild from this accident not only because it is strong and resilient, but because the area congregations will support their recovery. Call us a Four Sisters Garden, planted right here in St. Louis, supporting, protecting, and nurturing each other. As we face a national narrative of rugged independence and a false meritocracy. We are called to tell stories of how working together makes us stronger. Stories of how helping others and building community lead to mutual thriving. Stories of how connection and relationship make us brave. What is the bravest thing your congregation has ever done? How did your success depend on working together with each other and with the community? How did your congregation's brave action nurture the soil of community and enable future flourishing? What brave thing might we do now? In the story For All Ages, writer Bill McKibben said, "We're capable of acting together to do remarkable things, so we best get started soon. In the weeks and months and maybe even years ahead, our job is to tell the story. Act the story, live the story, to love wholeheartedly into the reality of a new story. A story of interdependence and connection, collaboration and mutuality. And to do it each and every day. So we know without a doubt, in our heart and our minds, the truth of this statement: we are better together. Let's get started. I invite you to rise in body or spirit and join in our closing hymn, found on the screen or in your teal hymnal, number 1020, Wo Ya Ya.
Before I read our closing reading, on behalf of Emerson Chapel, I would like to thank you and all the congregations for your warm welcomes, your support, and your thoughts and prayers. It means a great deal to us. And I know that this service has had a few glitches this morning, but it is my hope that we do this again and make it an annual tradition. And our technology with it for it will get better. I know next year it'll be great. So our closing reading is Together by the Reverend Peter Rabel. We build on foundations we did not lay. We warm ourselves by fires we did not light. We sit in the shade of trees we did not plant. We drink from wells we did not dig. We profit from persons we did not know. This is as it should be. Together, we are more than any one person could be. Together, we can build across the generations. Together, we can renew our hope and faith in the life that is yet to unfold. Together, we can heed the call to a ministry of care and justice. We are ever bound in community. May it always be so. Will all the communities please join me now in the extinguishing of our chalices? As we extinguish the flame on our chalice, we ignite it in ourselves. Our commitment to our mission and to one another is an unquenchable flame. Let us remember that we are not alone until we light this flame next time.
Recording stopped.